Hi everyone, welcome to another Nature Walks video. You join me in the churchyard today and I want to show you this tree. Well, I should say shrub actually, because it's classic, actually defined as a shrub, but it's my favourite one. If you're wondering how you can define a shrub actually, basically a shrub is like a small tree. So you can see that this one, compared to these neighbouring major trees, is much smaller. So if you ever come across a miniature tree, anything that's sort of below 4 or 5 meters, still has a main trunk just like any other tree and a big flowering sort of circular looking crown, then that's probably likely to be more what we classify as a shrub than a tree. But this is my favourite. This one is Guelder Rose. And Guelder Rose is classically planted in churchyards, but it is a plant that you can find out in woodlands too. But it's really easy to identify, partly because it's got this amazing flower arrangement. Do you see that? So you see they've got this big set of flowers around the outside, and then these much smaller ones with just only a few budding in the middle. The other way you can tell Guelder Rose is it's got a pretty unique leaf formation too. So it's got this triple lobe, you see that on the leaf. And there isn't really many other trees in the UK that have this sort of 3-lobed leaf that are quite toothed. You can see here they've got quite large teeth on the outside. The only one you might mix this up with is field maple. That's the other one that it looks quite similar, but it doesn't have quite such strong teeth, and it's 5-lobed. So this is 3-fingered rather than 5 fingers. So that's quite a good way for you to identify it. So why is Guelder Rose one of my favourite trees? Well, it's because it's one of those trickster trees. So it's part of the viburnum family, and the viburnum family of flowering trees have a little bit of a common theme in the way that they trick pollinators to visit their flowers. So how do they do that? How does that work? Well, let's have a look at that flower again. So can you see, as I said, it's got this big set of flowers on the outside and then these smaller ones in the middle. Well, these big ones out on the outside, they're fake flowers. They're not real flowers. They're what we call a sterile flower, and essentially their role has nothing to do with producing the gorgeous red berries that comes on Guelder Rose later in the season. All they are there to do is to attract pollinators. Now, when you've got a tree that has these big clusters of flowers, there's a bit of a trade-off that they have to be careful of, because producing lots of flowers means that you want to get a big floral display that brings in the pollinators. That big show of colour is what draws in pollinators to your flowers. But the problem is, if you make it too big by having to have too many flowers open at the same time, then you run the risk of a pollinator just going around and self-fertilizing all of your flowers, and that's not what the tree wants. So the way they've got around it is by producing this ring of sterile flowers that are allowed to have big petals, draw in the pollinators, but can only have a few of those inner flowers open at any one time to avoid self-fertilization. A pretty cool tactic, hey? And so when they did a study to have a look at how effective that was, they found that it was 3 times more effective at attracting pollinators using this strategy than using the normal flowering strategy of just opening up bigger flowers and fewer of them. So a really, really clever technique. And you can see that these flowers are a bit fake. So fake looking lobes, no little stigmas, as you can see in the little ones, they're just sticking up. These little stigmas and anthers is a good sign of a real flower, whereas these guys just like tissue paper. It's like the confetti you might throw out at a wedding. And you can see here quite a few of the buds not opened versus just a few of the flowers in each one. So a pretty cool and clever trick by this tree. Guelder Rose grows in quite a few churchyards. It's quite a popular ornamental tree to plant because of those beautiful berries that come later in the year. But you can come across it wild in woodlands. So any bits of sort of damp areas of woodland, Guelder Rose tends to thrive there. So have a look and see whether you can find one. Okay, all right, enjoy.